Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here alongside Lyle Leong Jr. and Lyle. Another disappointing loss. Bunch of I wrote down, I'm not going to lie to you, Lyle. I wrote this catchy intro thing, but it's not really worth saying at this point because I sound like this, you know? So let's get that out of the way first. But we're going to talk about Oregon, Texas Tech. A lot to discuss today as, again, the Red Raiders – I mean, it felt like find another way to lose this time in just unbelievable fashion, in my opinion. Lyle, before we get into that, there's going to be a lot of arguing, I feel like, on today's show. If the pre-show banter between you and me is any indication, it's going to sound a lot better on your end because you actually have a voice and don't sound like you swallowed a frog, but it's all right.
I just
before
got
we
it
get
back.
into that, though. Oh, you just got it back. Okay.
Just got it back.
Oh, and before we get into anything else, we'll be talking about the loss. How about a win for that man on Friday night? How about that, huh?
Yes, sir. Hey, I appreciate that, RC. They did their thing, man. That's what happens
How
when
about that?
you got good kids, man. They make you look good, man. So shout out to them boys, man. They played hard. They did their thing, and shoot, I was just along for the ride, brother. That's it.
There we go.
Yes.
We gotta start the show positive because there's gonna be a lot of negative.
Yeah.
It's like in today's podcast. But yeah, on today's show, we'll recap 38-30, lost to number 13 Oregon. We'll get Lyles' thoughts on the game. He was there. I was there, as you can tell. I wasn't just yelling at my TV. I promise I was actually there as well. And is it time for a QB1 switch? We'll give our thoughts on that. And then at the very end, I'll try and lighten it up, Lyle, because I do have a glass half full kind of perspective on this for Texas Tech. But before we do that, be sure to like the video if you want more free Texas Tech daily videos. If you're loving what you're seeing here on the podcast, again, Lyle's the only former player with the Texas Tech podcast. He's giving you insights, and he's going to have some great ones about the wide receivers today, specifically that Jerron Bradley, Tyler Shuck play. Who was in the right, who was in the wrong. We've watched it. We'll have it here on the podcast as well, giving Lyles' thoughts. But before we do that, what does Texas Tech have to change or improve most before the Big 12 starts? Let me know down in the comments below. It'll be the pinned comment. But, Lyle, I just think we got to jump into it at this point, you know. Again, 38-30 loss for Texas Tech. And, I mean, it just felt like, I'll just call it what it is a spade, right? Some of the decisions in this game were absolute dog shit. I mean, it was bad. And it felt like, in all honesty, did Texas Tech play their best football? No, I don't think anybody's going to say that they did. But they were in the game. I thought that they lost that game and gave it to Oregon with some of the decisions they made, not obviously on the field, but off of it as well from a coaching staff perspective. Before we get into those decisions, though, your overall thoughts of this loss for Texas Tech. They're now 0-2, and, I mean, hopefully they beat Tarleton. It's got to be a tune-up game. I think they will. But just your overall thoughts on this loss, Lyle.
I thought, for the most part, I thought they played better than the week before. So, when you're watching this thing, when you talk about the overall goal of each team each week is to get better, and I felt like we did that. Played the number 13 team in the country, should have beat them, didn't beat them, but they're the number 13 team in the country. And I haven't even checked the standings this week, but I'm sure they're in the top 10. And so play a top 10 team, should we have won? Yeah, I get it. But 2 years ago, if we would have played number 13 Oregon, it would have been 60-0. So I think we got to, I know everybody's mad and everybody.
Maybe a little extreme, but you're not far off. Yeah.
We got to realize, like, it's a process, man. It's a process. I think last year with them doing so well, people forget it's still a process. This is man's second time to go. So I think that's the biggest thing that people got to understand is you got to give it time in that process of to let them grow, to let them get better. So I think that comes along with all the time that they're going to spend together, growing, learning. But like I said, man, it's just 8-4 in the first year is crazy. And I think, like I said, that we talked about this a long time ago. No better fan base than Texas Tech, But at the same time, sometimes our what we envision after something goes good is to the maximum extreme. Like we're not supposed to, who said we were supposed to win that game? You know, no one said we were supposed to win this game, and we played them well, and we got close, and everybody's like, man, we should have. Technically, I mean, to be in the game is good, and I know that's not what everybody goes into thinking, but we got to understand. We got to understand that you gotta give them chance to kind of get it together in a sense. They're still coming together. A lot of transfers with this season, how it goes, because they we got. I mean, how many transfers did we get? How many transfers are playing right now? So I think they'll gel together. The goal is to win a Big 12 championship, and that's still on the table for us. So I think we played two good teams. Should we have beat both? Yeah, probably. But at the end of the day, we didn't. We're competing. We're in the game. So we're not getting blasted. We're not where we want to be, but we're in every single game.
Yeah, I mean, again, I talked about it yesterday on my like instant reaction video here on the channel, but I think Texas Tech lost this game more than Oregon won it. And listen, I know that sounds like a loser mentality or whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm sure some people will say that in the comments, but like, just look at it, right? They went for two early on. And listen, I like analytics, but it's not a do or die thing with analytics. I think sometimes analytics are there as a tool to help you and not, hey, whatever they say, that's what I'm going to do. Right? Like I don't think that's how it should be. I think it should be like, I'm thinking of doing this. Do the numbers back me up? Yes or no? They don't. Okay, let's weigh the risk here in terms of maybe why the numbers say this and I'm thinking this way, right? So the first thing that comes to mind is they just shouldn't have gone for two that early. It makes no sense, right? Like what good does it do for you there in that situation? Like I get it. If you get the 2-point conversion, we're not having this conversation, but you didn't. There's no reason to go for it that early. You go for two when you have to, right? Play out the game. And really that 2-point conversion really did in a lot of ways come back to bite Tech in the ass. You think about it, it was 31-30. If they had kicked the extra point, let's say Gino makes it, it's 31-30. Tech has the ball just to go down there and get a field goal. Maybe there's different ways of thinking about what you're doing on that drive, and you're not having Tyler Shuck roll out where he throws one of the most egregious interceptions I've ever seen in college football. It was wild to me. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But the play that really stands out, Lyle, and I want to preface everything I'm about to say by saying this, right? Like Tech did not lose the game because of this fourth down decision, but it completely altered the momentum, right? You got to think about it. Oregon had a 15-plus play drive just a couple minutes before, right? They went down and they just walked on the Texas Tech defense. Really the only drive of the day where I was like, damn, Texas Tech defense just got worked right there, right? Like they just got abused on that drive, right? So you're up 27-25. It's 4th and 2 on your own 33. You have the best punter in America. Your defense is gas, don't get me wrong, but why not go out and put your defense in a better position in terms of Oregon has to go the entire length of the field instead of just 33 yards, and they're already in instant field goal range, right? It didn't make much sense to me when it came down to that. So, and again, Joey McGuire said in the press conference, the reason he did it, the numbers backed him up. And and again, it goes back to this. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, you just have to trust the numbers if that's what you're going to do. It won Texas Tech games last year. I agree, but you also have to understand that fourth down, there's a lot of luck involved with that. Like, I mean, there's just a ton of luck, right? And so regression to the mean is a real thing. Now, if Texas Tech executes and gets that 4th and 2, all right. I told Lyle before the show, I'm going to have to go off on Kitley just from the sheer fact of one perspective, and it's this. You ran the ball 23 goddamn times with Tyler Shuck. 23 times. Listen, I'm all for running the quarterback. I really am. But when Taj Brooks only gets 6 carries, 6, what the hell are we doing? Right? And so if you're going to run the ball on 4th and 2, right? If you have your mind made up there, why don't you bring in Henry Teeter as a fullback? You line him up left, right, I don't care, probably right with how your offensive line played. Right played much better than the left side in this game, at least at the tackle spots, right? Bring in one of your best blockers, an extra guy in Henry Teeter, and just run it to the right, right, with Taj Brooks. I just don't understand the logic of actually going for it there. I get it, the algorithm and everything, but sometimes what's that old saying, Lyle? Numbers never lie, people do, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The numbers never lie, but like there's context involved with it, right? And like you have to understand the situation in the game. And I just would have much rather have your punter go out there, try to flip the field completely, right? Which he already did one time, that perfect punt that landed on the Oregon 5, right? I mean, just saucy punt. Do it again. At least try to. See if you can get down there. Worst case scenario, he kicks it into the end zone and they're at their own 20.
Mm-hmm.
You still flip the field, right? So it's like I'd rather them have to go 80 yards at worst type scenario than only have to go 33 and already be in instant field goal range, specifically due to the fact that they just worked your defense, right? Try and see if they can do it again. And if they do, good for them, right? But don't put the advantage card in the Oregon hand at that point. And you were up by 2. You were up 27-25. It just made no sense to me in that regard, and probably why the reason my voice sounds like it is today.
Yeah, I think I think every time looking back at it, especially watching, as being a coach, it's always different when you're sitting, when you're sitting in the stands versus out there at that moment. So, I agree with you in a sense, but at the same time, we know what we're going to get. We know what they are, and either you're going to be that team or you're not. You can't teeter and be both. And so I always tell people that this is what we got. We're going to throw the ball 100 times. That's what we got. That's what people wanted. That's what we got. That's what's here. We're going to throw the ball. We know that. We're going to go for it on 4th down. We know that. We're going to take risks. We know that. And so everybody's got to understand that's the coaching staff that we have. They're going to take risks. And a lot of these risks have paid off, and there's going to be times that it don't pay off. That's just how it goes. If you go for it on 4th down 10 times, you're going to get it maybe 5. That's just how it goes. I think last year they may have got it 6 or 7 out of 10 times.
Last year they were phenomenal.
Yeah, so people got to understand though, if that's what they are, that's what it's got to be. Win, loss, good, bad. You got to roll with that. You can't be that type of team that, oh, we're gonna go for it this 4th down. Then the next time you're like, oh no, we can't. You got to be the same team that you're gonna be, and it's kind of like on defense. You live and die by the blitz. Everybody knows you could blitz everybody. You also get burnt for a touchdown. So I think this is the type of team that we are, and everybody's got to accept that and understand it's going to be good sometimes. Sometimes it's going to be bad, but understand that's, in my opinion, why they went 8-4 last year, because they did that. Just this year,
8-5.
Or sorry, 8-5. But that's why it didn't work. It didn't work in their favor this go around, and people forget, because last year when we did it and it worked, everyone's like, yeah, this, that, and the other. We had conversations about, oh, Kitley's terrible. And then we throw for 400 yards. Oh, he's great. So I think we know what we're going to get. And with what comes with that is good and you're bad. Throwing the ball that much is going to happen. Your defense is going to be out there on the field more. Your quarterback, when he throws it 40 times, there's not many quarterbacks that's going 30 for 40 at the college level. It's not many. So I think we just got to understand that's the type of coaching staff we have, which, that's their style, and I respect it. And know that's what we're going to do moving forward, period. That's what it's going to be. So don't be shocked, but take the good with the bad.
No, I'm all about being aggressive. I really am. And I get your perspective in terms of you're either all in with it in terms of being aggressive at that point. I just think, again, and maybe it's not even a maybe at this point. Hindsight is 2020, right? Like, I know it didn't work, so I can say these things now, right? Like, that's the situation I'm in. I get it. But also at the same time, I think you have to look at it from the standpoint of where you are in that given moment. And again, I'm trying to think through all of this, both sides, like seeing it from Kitley's point of view and my point of view, right? Or I guess the fan base's point of view. I get it from the Joey Maguire and the Kitley side, because what I just mentioned, right? Like, Oregon just went on a 15-plus play drive. McGuire's probably thinking, okay, the numbers are saying this. Plus, I know my defense is gassed. Let's see if we can just maybe give them an extra 3 or 4 minutes if we can get this first down, right? Like, I get it. But also at the same time, I just don't personally see the value in that from the standpoint of that's both freaking Knicks, like I just don't see the value in going for it there. I understand that is what you're living and dying by. I really do. And you don't want to switch up from that. But I think sometimes when it comes down to it, there has to be context involved in things, right? And like there has to look at the broader picture and not just almost live and die by your laurels or whatever the hell they say, right? But again, you're up 27-28. I don't think this is the play that lost you the game, right? Like this is not the play. There was multiple things that lost you the game, but this one stands out the most for the sheer fact of as soon as you gave the ball back to Oregon, they were in field goal range at worst, right, to go up. And they obviously go down there, get the field goal, go up 28-27. But and credit to your defense too, like bend don't break type stuff there, considering the situation, right? Like that's what I think Texas Tech's defense is best at. Are they really good defense? I'd honestly probably say no. But damn it, they're really good about bending and not completely breaking, right? And there's something to be said for that. So I give them credit there. It's just, again, I think when I look back on this play, I'm all for analytics, Lyle. I'm a nerd at heart. I know what I am. But that one just made no sense to me. None at all.
And I think, too, like I said, I think what they're going for, too, is they felt Oregon getting the momentum back, and that would have been a momentum killer. Like, there's nothing else.
Sure.
There's nothing else like, for instance, your team, it takes them 30 plays to per se to go down there and score a touchdown. Then you kick the ball off, another team runs it back. Like that's a momentum killer. That's your team, and I felt like that right there. If we would have got the first down, we wouldn't be having this conversation because the momentum would have killed and they've been like, oh, but then they got that. So I think, I agree with that play. I mean, I agree with that decision. It's just if you get it, you're going to take the air out of their whole team and put it away. If you don't, you're breathing air and life back into their team. So I just think that's a pivotal. What do you want to do? But like I said, if we get that first down, I think Oregon lays it down and we win the game. So I just think, McGuire wanted to hold on to the ball, try to knock it down and maybe punt with small, with not that much time left. But I think, like I said, that play, if it goes in our favor, I think Oregon folds. And I do think that because it's first down, you're starting over, they have the momentum. And I just think that they felt the momentum coming from they were coming back, getting close. And so I just felt like they felt if they could take the air out, it might settle them down a little bit. So I think it was a good decision. Like I said, was it the best play? I don't know, honestly. I don't know if that was the best play or not, but like I said, I think if we get this first down, we're having a totally different conversation.
100% agree. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, it's, again, you live and die by the sword, right? Like, I totally understand that. I really do. And again, I think I've already admitted hindsight 2020. I know everybody knows what side I stand on now because it's, if we're being honest, the easier side to stand on. But I also think that, listen, I love the fact that this crew, in terms of the coaching staff, follows the analytics so much. But I also want them from the standpoint, and I know this is a faulty way of thinking, and it's probably one of those things that really there's no right or wrong answer. It's just, hey, like, this is how I view football. I like analytics, and I don't think anybody's going to like this, but I like gut feeling, right? Like when I trust a coach, right? And I trust Joey McGuire, right? Use your gut and the analytics. And his gut and the analytics obviously said to go for it here. It didn't work out. I like that combination. I know that people aren't going to like the fact that I said, trust your gut, right? Like he's in that position for a reason. Obviously, as I've mentioned multiple times now, it didn't work out. Hindsight 2020. I think more than anything, Lyle, it really is the fact that you have a guy like Austin McNamara at your disposal that really bothered me the most in this regard. from the standpoint of let's see if they can do it again, Oregon. If they go down and they score a 15-plus play drive again, hats off to you. Good for you. You won the game, right? I don't think Oregon was going to do that again. And that's why, again, we're talking in a bunch of ifs right here, but I don't know. That's just kind of how I view it, to be honest. But we'll move on. But before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're about to hit 8,700 subs here on the channel. Been a solid first month, even if Texas Tech hasn't looked all that great at points on the field. If you want game previews for Texas Tech, 3 keys to the game, Lyle breaking down plays like he will here in just a second, talking about the wide receivers and so much more, hit that subscribe button to join the most interactive Texas Tech community here on YouTube. And the best part about it, it's 100% free. So hit that subscribe button and notification bell to stay in the know on Texas Tech football right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel. All right, Lyle, let's jump into the offense. And I kind of want to just talk about this play as there's voice crack number 3 for me. I'm keeping a tally over here for the show. You over under right now, 7.5 voice cracks for me. You going over?
I'm gonna take the over on that.
Yeah, that's safe. That's safe. That's a good bet. That's a good bet on your part for sure. Good bet.
I wasn't good this weekend, so I got to try to make up for it right now, man.
Yeah. No, no. Yeah, my voice sounds like a teen that can't grow facial hair. All right, let's jump into this play though, because I thought this was interesting, Lyle, and obviously, you know a lot more about the wide receiver position than I do. So you tell me when to start and stop this. This is the interception from Shuck to Jerron Bradley. You tell me when to go and tell me when to stop on this. So we'll start out the play.
Okay, here, go for me. Pause.
All right. Clean pocket, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's go back a little bit.
All righty.
We see on the play the safety rolls down. I think it's some kind of rob coverage where they cover one. It's looking like, and so I think right here it's one of two things. I think the first thing it could be is a choice route. I don't know what the choices are in this scenario, but I think it's a choice route. If the DB does something there in man coverage, it looks like, or on the backside, it looks like it's man coverage. So he may be able to break it off to whatever their man beater is. And I think right here in this situation, he breaks out for an out and whatever reason. Schutz is thinking he's doing a different route. So I don't know if it comes down to a miscommunication or a because Schutz's eyes is not looking at him. First and foremost, he's looking at what we would call the play side. There's more receivers that side, so most people call it the play side. That back side would just the one-on-one, people call it a matchup side. And why they call it a matchup side is because it's a matchup. You think that guy can beat that guy. So if you like that matchup, you take it. So I think he's looking at the play side. He doesn't like what he sees over there. He brings his eyes back over here to this matchup side, and I think he sees him late, and it's a miscommunication. So I think he ran a good route play for me. It looks like right here he breaks it into an out. And I think Shutt thought I think Shutt thought he was going to sit down. So I don't know what their read is, what their call is. And I tell people that's hard. My quarterback since I've been in elementary, and we had choice routes where sometimes we weren't on the same page. So it's really difficult. I think in this case, they just had a miscommunication, whatever that miscommunication is. But I think the big thing too here is that wasn't who Shutt wanted to go to begin with. I think it was one of those things where it wasn't what he wanted. He turned back at the last minute and tried to make a play instead of going through his progression and maybe being patient, being like, I don't like it, getting out the pocket, throwing the ball away, and getting to do another play. So I think, like I said, good release, good route. Hit play for me. Not bad on the release. Like we talk about, man, I still don't think we get great separation at the top of the route. So, like I said, it comes back to I don't know if Shutt thought, whatever he thought, but I think from the get-go, it's just if he gets separation, it may be a little different. But Like I said, it is a tight window regardless. Even if he was throwing that out, it's a tough window. It's pretty good coverage by that DB. And, um, and like I said, I don't know if Shuck coming across was supposed to wait for that man coming across and his second read was underneath, but I just think it was a late throw, late read, and a miscommunication on that. So um, I wish I knew exactly what the play is. Usually I know, but I don't know what this is. Um, but like I said, I think it comes down to that communication. It's big between the quarterback and the receiver, but people got to understand it's a different perspective from when a receiver's running the route. He sees just the top of the route where he's at 10 and before that. Whereas Shutt sees the whole field. He sees 20 yards. So
Mhm.
he may see something different than what a receiver sees, and the quarterbacks know more. They have to. And so I think in this scenario, he thought he was open to run it out. Shutt thought he was going to sit, and it's just a miscommunication at the end of the day. Late read.
Quick question.
Yes,
You'd
sir.
know better than me. So, watch the end of this play for me. Obviously, he's throwing to Bradley here. Is and I stop it here for a reason. Jordan Brown right behind him,
Hmm.
right? Do you think this ball's trying to go to Jordan Brown or because here's the thing. I think you're 100% right. There was a miscommunication. And the reason I think it was a choice route is because of where Jordan Brown is located.
Right.
And I think really what it comes down to is this. Obviously, it's either Bradley or Shuck that got it wrong, right? There's
Right.
nobody else that did, right? Because this is just a I don't know, everybody calls it something different. In high school when I played, obviously Lyle knows terminology much better than I do. We called this a drag post, where it's like not really a hard post. He just kind of sweeps across the middle, right? And that's what Jordan Brown was running there.
Hmm.
And I think that the reason there was miscommunication here that makes obviously we know there was, but I wonder if Shuck did not see this defender on Bradley and he was actually going to Jordan Brown.
I don't know. I think like looking back at it now, I think it's called. I think they ran goes for these other three guys.
Okay,
I think that a landmark that we do, everyone does. It's numbers hash numbers. So if you
sure.
got the vert and everybody's over there, he's responsible for getting to that other hash. Now the type of choice route that he ran, I don't know what necessarily he would do, but um, I know coming across that's on the three verts, and then on the backside, I don't know what he has in. It looks like to me what people call the shake route is 5 in, 5 up, and 5 out is what I'm
Yeah.
guessing it's supposed to be.
Yeah, that I think so too after watching it a couple more times. Yep, I agree.
Yeah, and maybe you're right. Maybe he saw him at the last minute, but um, I should have been anyway. I don't know how Kit teaches them, but if I was a guessing man with this route, it'd be the hash to the hash to the outside receiver to the check down over there is what I'm thinking. But
Yeah.
like I said, he doesn't stay on that guy coming to the other hash to see. So, but looking back at it, man, you might be right. Maybe he was trying to throw it over the top to that, but he could have hit that man way earlier coming
Yeah.
across. So I don't know if he skipped the read, but I felt like he was looking to the left and he skipped over the man coming to the hash and went straight to the outside receiver. So I don't know what he's trying to do and what they do, but like I said, I tell coaches all the time, man, that choice route is tough because it's different perspectives of because they're at different places. The quarterback's 20 yards, he sees the whole play, he knows the whole play. As a receiver, a lot of times you think you know the coverage, but right before in this case it's too high. Somebody may be thinking, man, they're going, what most people would probably call cover six, meaning cover two up
Yeah.
top, corners up top. You're gonna have help with that safety, and then
And the
down here,
linebacker drops a little bit too.
yeah, and you're gonna have cover four where they drop. Well, it looks like they're coming on like a blitz with this guy, but cover four on
Mhm.
the backside. But at the last minute, dude rolls down, and it turns into kind of like a cover one look. And so I think that was a tough look. I think that was a good job by Oregon. Um, and like I said, they brought pressure on top of that. Press play for me. We send the back out. They bring you know, more than we could block. Or they bring five. Sorry, they bring five, but they bring them in late. I think he
Yeah.
had a little bit more time than he thought. You know, But I'm sure he saw him out the corner of his eye coming off that edge. So as a quarterback, I'm sure he trusts his O line, but you still see somebody run off the edge. It kind of, has
That
a
was a good block by Monroe Mills, though. Like in terms of,
heck
I
yeah,
mean, in
passing it
Monroe,
off.
Monroe had a bad game. I think he'd be the first to admit it. But this play in particular, how he shoved him inside to Cole Spencer, and you can see right here that Monroe is already setting up for that blitzer. That you
Hmm.
can see right there. Even though Taj is setting up for the other guy that looks like he drops into a spy look on this play. I mean, the thing is that the reason being, I think that maybe it's Shuck's fault. And again, this is going to happen regardless. But look at Jerron Bradley after this play, right? Like he's just befuddled. He's like, what's going on here? And so that makes me think again, it's a choice route. Like one of those deals where Shuck has to trust Bradley. Bradley has to trust Shuck. And both of them have to trust each other in the sense of they are seeing the same coverage. And if they one sees one thing and the other sees the other, because it is a choice route. I bet Bradley saw what he saw in the sense of, oh, okay, I'm one-on-one right here. I'm going to the outside and I'm creating space, right? Because that's what he did. But then Shuck sees, oh, it's zone. And you can see here that it is zone a little bit, right? But also at the same time, I think the out route, like you said earlier, it would have been a hard throw regardless, right? Like regardless, either throw is difficult here.
Yeah.
I think my main argument with the whole entire play is even if this is like a little curl here, like a stop route, I hate how close Brown is to the play. Like I don't like that because that just basically allows Oregon to have two defenders in the area of the ball, regardless of who it's thrown to, whether that's Bradley, whether that's Brown, it doesn't matter. It just makes the throw so much harder. So, again, I don't think it really matters who's at fault here, Bradley, Shuck. I mean, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion. I think really where the play call went wrong was the sheer fact that Brown and Bradley were that close. And also, that kind of makes me think that when it comes down to it, Bradley was in the right, Lyle, for the sheer fact that I have a hard time believing Zach Kitley is going to put two wide receivers that close to each other on
Yeah.
a play call.
And go back for me.
Yeah.
Just a tag.
Gotcha. I'll play it
Press
through.
play and then
Right here?
pause. Yeah. Right now, like I said, this is what Schultz sees. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's nobody open. And so I think, like I said, what kid's doing, I don't know if Bradley ran it too deep, his route, I don't know. But I know what he's trying to create. But like I said, I just don't think anyone's open. It's on this right. What the quarterback sees, his eyes are obviously to the left. He sees the man in the middle, and he sees a safety and probably a nickel back over there, 5 yards over the top. So if they're running verticals, he moves on to his next read. And the next read is like I said, the inside probably to Bradley. And I think, like I said, there's no separation. When you're looking back there right now, there's no separation. I know he's trying to make a play, but in reality, he probably should have hit the check down and saw, because right now that's tough to throw. If he would have got it out ASAP and threw it to the inside guy, he could have got away with that. But at this
You're talking
point,
about number 4, Brown, correct?
yeah, if
Okay.
you back it up
Making
just
sure.
a tad.
Yeah, hold on. Let me play it through and then I'll back it up again. Because I agree with you. I almost wish there was like a drag route here, almost in a way, in terms of an option. Because
But
you're right.
I'm pretty sure he is, though. I'm pretty sure once this guy blitzes, he's supposed to be what we call in the air raid world a hot. So he should get his eyes around. Should have seen him coming and thrown it immediately. But he missed the hot. So then as he continues, he goes into coverage. But it opening
And you're
is
talking about number 4, correct? The guy
yeah.
on the inside when it comes to the trips.
Yeah, when he comes across, he disappears. His eyes should get back. And
Okay.
I'm guessing if I was a betting man that'd be a hot route. Play. He sees him coming.
Yeah, I agree. But let me ask you this. Do you think, because I think Shuck actually does look at Brown, and you're right, his eyes don't turn around. The problem is I don't know if that would be a good throw, because looking at this safety right there on the 30, right beyond the yellow line, it looks like that's the guy guarding Brown. He's coming down. And then I wonder if Shuck sees this linebacker moving to Jordan Brown's side and thinks, okay, I can't throw that because I got to fit it into a tighter window. But I agree. I think from the jump almost, I think what should have happened, and maybe this is exactly what you're saying, and I just misunderstood it. I mean, Jordan Brown in that situation on this hot route, I would have just rather him seen go 2 yards down the field and stop right there.
Yeah, I think on a hot route, all it is it comes down to getting your eyes up. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't be at the
Yeah,
linebacker. The ball should already be out, and he should be catching the ball to make a move. And that's what a hot is for. It's immediate thing. You see it, you throw. You see this man blitz. So you go back one more time for me, and I'll
yep,
show you how fast it's supposed to. It probably should have been out.
right there.
Go back.
No,
A
1 second.
little
Let me
more.
fast forward a little bit. Play it through.
All right, get
Look at
ready
the
to pause.
crowd. The crowd was
Pause.
electric, by the way.
See right there. When you see him coming, see his eyes are, I don't know what he's looking at. The safety. I don't know what he's looking
Is it because of the RPO aspect of this play? You think he couldn't get his eyes up quick enough?
at. Maybe, but that's a kind of one of those things. It's just kind of having peripheral, and I didn't play quarterback at this level, so
Sure.
I don't know. But that's one of the things you got to see. The receiver should immediately have his eyes open, I would think, and the ball should be he should be catching and throwing. But I know he's doing the RPO, but I feel like, and I don't know what he's being taught, so I don't want to speak too much on it. But his eyes look like they're down the field instead of viewing, viewing that
Yeah.
guy coming off. And I just think press play and then stop real quick. Stop. Ball should be out right there. That man's not turning
Yeah.
around to make that play. Ball should be out.
And the best thing, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Lyle, the best place to throw the ball when there is a blitz is into the blitz because you know there's not a man there.
Exactly. And that's a tough one, but I think that's what they try to do. And then secondly, if you play it to the end, and then I'll tell you when to pause one more time. Pause. Oh, sorry. Go back just a tad.
Gotcha.
Sorry, just like
Hold on
2
1
seconds.
second. Trying to get there. A little harder on YouTube, not going to lie about it.
Yeah. Pause. Right there.
Right there?
No, sorry, back a little. Well, anyways, you don't have to go back. You don't have to go back. But like I said, once he gets to this situation, okay, he sees nobody's open, pause. You got the check down. That's what it's for. The check down is like I said, that's one thing with that Graham Harrell did so good is the check down because no one covers the check down a lot of times. So, like I said, I think that's trying to make a play, trying to help his team win because I know he really wanted to win this game. Coming from there, he could say that he didn't. He could say that it's just another game, but he wanted to win. So I think that's Ty trying to make those plays instead of taking what the defense is kind of giving them. So, like I said, I can't be mad at him. I'd rather a guy that try to make plays and be a winner that don't. But I think, like I said, the hot route, we kind of missed that. And then I think, once he gets out there, it's not there. You don't like it. It's 3 Ducks, two Red Raiders in that area. Probably not the best area, period, to throw. Even if he got it over, I don't know if if the dude behind him, safety back there, would have got it. So I think he's just trying to make plays. And there's check downs, man. I'm telling y'all, if you don't watch how many times that running back when we check out is open. So that's hard for a quarterback to be patient and kind of dump it and dink down the field. A lot of those guys want to get the ball downfield. They want to make plays. That's just their nature. But like I said, there's a lot of teams that that leave that check down because they know quarterbacks aren't looking for it or don't want to take it.
Also, I was talking trash about Tyler Shuck. Go back just to where we were even. Run the football.
Right.
Like, make this Oregon defender on the check down decide, right? Like, are you going to come up and guard me against the run? Or can I ditch it out to, Taj Brooks right there in the flat like you're talking about on the check down, right? Like, step up in the pocket a couple more steps. Make that guy decide because the other closest defender to you, well, first and foremost, is on his backside. What a block right there. My goodness, by the right guard. Or the center, that's Rusty Stats, excuse me. But step up if you're Tyler Shuck. If there's nothing there and you're going to have to fit it into a tight window, these are the type of plays I don't mind Tyler Shuck running, right? Run here. Go make it 2nd and 3. Go make it 2nd and 4. Get yourself ahead. right, of
Right.
the sticks a little bit, right? And also, again, it's 1-on-2 here, right? You're going to have to make that corner, safety, whatever position it is, that drop down for Oregon decide, okay, hey, am I going to respect Tyler Shuck running, or do I need to stay here outside on the boundary with Taj Brooks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if Tyler Shuck steps up here, worst case scenario with the slide, he's getting 7 yards.
Right.
So I don't know. I like the aspect of him trying to be aggressive. But man, I think this is one of those plays. And again, it comes back to the hindsight aspect of it. Just looking at where this play stands right now, and I get the ball is in the air, but it's not too vastly different. Obviously, it's a half second different at most right now. Step up if you're Tyler. Make this linebacker decide what he's going to do. Is he going to come up and press you with the ball? If he does, dump it out to Taj. Taj gets you ahead of the sticks. You're 2nd and 2, right? If he doesn't, all right, run it. And it's 2nd and 3 or 2nd and 2, whatever it may be. I don't know. That's kind of my thought process behind it. But, and again, I don't think that's the play that lost you the game. But I do think it is telling for Texas Tech in terms of it seems like the first 2 weeks of the year that there's been a lot of those plays happening that put Texas Tech behind the proverbial 8 ball, I guess you would call it.
And I think, like I said, it's a mentality thing.
Sure.
We go for it on 4th down. He's trying to make plays. That's the mentality. I think that's the mentality that team has, that Coach McGuire is going to, he's not asking them to go out and be Superman. I know that for a fact. But it's the mentality. You kind of take the mentality of your head coach. And in my opinion, my team sometimes is mellow because I'm mellow. And so, how you go about it, how you do things, your team kind of follows suit. So I think that's the mentality of quarterbacks. Even last year when we saw B. Moore, he going to take shots that a lot of people probably wouldn't take, but you got to understand 4th down, we go for it too. So it's a mentality. And that's what I try to, drive home. It's somebody asked me on Twitter, what's all in? All in means you're all in. There is no halfway. There is no, it explains itself. If you're all in, you're all in. And that mentality is all the way around from 4th down to what the quarterback's trying to do. And that's the mentality. And if that's the way you're going to run your program, it has to be like that. It can't be we're going to switch this week and then we're going to switch that week. No, we live by it. We die by it. And like I said, if we make a couple plays, the Schutz makes that throw, the game's different. But that's just how it goes. That you got to understand. You're gonna have a lot of great things, but with this type mentality, with the way that you're gonna have a lot of stuff, you're gonna look back and say, dang. But at the time, like you said, the gut feeling, it may feel in his shut. We don't know what he saw from this angle. From this angle, we're looking at a sky view. From his back angle, that dude might have looked like he had him beat. And so, like I said, it's all about perspective. And that's why I love receiver quarterback play. And I try to tell people the perspective from the quarterback and the receiver is totally different. I don't see linebackers behind me. I don't see sometimes safety on the other side. I see a cornerback, and from the probably left half over is what I'm looking at. I don't see a safety. I see a cornerback. That's it. I don't see who's underneath me, behind me. So I think in that aspect, man, we just got to understand this is what we got, and this is what the team is going to be. This is the mentality. Because pretty sure, like I said, I know people want to see B more, but at the same token, I'm sure he would have took some shots too. That some people be like, man, that's a testy throw. I mean, he's made testy throws and he's completed them, and he's also throwing testy balls that weren't complete. So I think we gotta understand the type of mentality that they have, and you gotta live by it.
Let's transition into that. Before we do,
Mm-hmm.
you let us know, should there even be a QB1 debate? Y for yes, N for no. Let us know down in the comments if you think there should be even a debate at QB1 right now for Texas Tech. And we'll jump into that, actually, just because, again, I think, Lyle, and again, I feel like I'm like saying a bunch of old 1960s coach sayings in this podcast, but there's an old football saying where it's like, if you have one quarterback, perfect. If you have two, you don't have any, right? And then there's the other saying where QB2 is always better than QB1 in the moment or something like that, right? Like, I think that's the situation we're in. I think people have to realize, like, Morton and Shuck are drastically different quarterbacks when it comes down to it, because you're right. I think Shuck is more of the conservative guy. And honestly, maybe people won't like this. I wish Shuck was more aggressive. I just wish he was more aggressive with some of his throws. Like, does he have the arm strength of Baron Morton? No. I don't think anybody's arguing that. But I think Shuck's biggest thing is he's hesitant, right? I want him to trust his gut again, in the sense that, hey, if I read this, Tyler Shuck's a smart dude. I don't think anybody's saying otherwise, right? If I
Mhm.
see it, trust it, throw it, right? Don't see it, trust it, hesitate or question it, and then throw it, right? And that's kind of what he's done on some of these plays that have cost him. So that's really what I want to see. As for the debate itself, Lyle, I think really what it comes down to is this. Do I think we should have this debate? Sure. I get it. It's Baron Morton. Everybody loves him. The 4-star kid grew up a Texas Tech fan and is immensely talented. But the thing is this, and I think this is where it puts Joey McGuire between a rock and a hard place. If you go to Baron Morton, there's no turning back. You can't go back. You can't.
Yeah.
Unless there's an injury. You can't do it, right? You basically said, all right, we're done with Tyler Shuck. Baron Morton, you got the keys to the Ferrari. Let's see what you can do, kid. There's
Right.
no going back, because if you go back again to Tyler Shuck, oh my God. I can't even imagine how fast this season goes in the shitter. I can't imagine, because you can't do that to your team. You can't go back and forth. You have
Yeah.
to say, if you go to Baron Morton, that's it. He's your QB1 for and as long as he's on campus, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's the future, the now, and everything in between. So I think that's where it is. And I'll also say this: has Chuck been infuriating the first 2 games at points? Yeah, but again, I think it goes back to he's just hesitant. I want to see this kid be more aggressive, because throwing the football, at least, because I do think the talent is there in a lot of ways. By the way, did you get the fly?
Missed it.
Damn. All right.
Got to be better.
Got to be better.
Yeah. No, I think I wouldn't take it that far in my personal opinion. Um, I wouldn't take it as far as it goes down if they let B Morton come and he's not successful and they go back. I don't see it being like that. I think they
You
have a.
don't think it impacts the locker room at
Uh,
all? Like flipping, flopping back and forth?
I don't personally.
Okay.
Um, we kind of do that. We did that in my high school, final, and we went to one this weekend. We won, so I'm saying that. And then we used one quarterback this weekend, got our first win. So, uh,
I'm
but
just
I
saying.
think,
I'm just saying.
hey, but I think it's just who can make plays. I think I don't think anybody cares in the locker room who or what or who's quarterback. They care about who's making those plays. Chemistry, I hear everybody say chemistry, but them dudes have thrown with both of those quarterbacks for 350 days out of this year. So chemistry, I hear what people are saying, but no, and I think it's whoever makes those plays. And would I be opposed to see B Morgan get a start and see what he does? Not at all. But we're playing Tarleton. So, I mean, B. Morgan comes in and throws for 400 yards against Tarleton. I mean, that's not Wyoming. That's not Oregon. So it's one of those deals like, it's hard to see, and I think they have quarterback competition every day. Yes, he's a starter. B. Morgan still gets those reps. So I think that they gauge that every week. And I think whoever's in there, the kids are gonna play for it. The receivers are gonna catch the
Mm.
ball. And no one ever, I just never felt like, when I played, it was Steven Sheffield and Taylor Potts. Like when Sheffield was in there, I'm gonna catch the ball. If Taylor Potts is in there, I'm gonna catch the ball. Both of them were my friends. I love them. Yes, I grew up with Potts. That's my brother from another. But if someone's in there and they can throw the ball in my direction, then I'm okay with that. So I think whoever could lead the team is going to be that person. I think everyone else will follow suit. I think everyone loves both of those guys. They know how much work each of them put in. They know that they're good in different areas, but like I said, at the end of the day, they just want somebody that's going to do a good job. And I think it goes over to those guys too, helping. And so, like we always talk about, I thought the receivers played better, made some good catches, but I don't know. I think they gotta in this type of offense, they have to make plays. And I thought they made some more than they did. But
Yeah.
like we talked about, they've got to make plays. They got to get separation. They got to like honestly, right now, I don't know if I'm a DC if I double team anybody on any receiver right now. I don't. And so, like I said, are these receivers talented? Absolutely. But you got to kind of show, you got to do. And like I said, the things in my years, they always and not to compare them to Crab. Crab's one of the best to ever do it. But they double team Crab, and then they couldn't double team Crab because they had Danny Amendola. And like I said, I know these are NFL dudes, and it's different. But just being out there, understanding when you have to put your focus on somebody, it opens up other people, the run game, the pass game for others. And so I think that we've got to find a guy, and a guy's got to kind of step forward and be that guy. We talked about at the beginning of the season about having a guy. And like right now, if I was to ask who our guy is, we ask 10 people, I bet you we get 10 different answers. And I think that's the thing too, is he's got to have some help. I thought the running back is good. Brooks, I think he's real good, but I
That's the thing.
you
Why
know
isn't he getting the ball? Like, explain that to me from you try and be Kitley, right? Like, explain to Texas Tech fans why you think, and again, I know I'm putting you in a difficult situation here to try and think like another person, right? Taj Brooks, I have it written down. I want to make sure I get the exact numbers for you, right? When you look at what Taj Brooks has done, he had 10 total touches against Oregon, right?
Mhm.
Tyler Shuck had 23 carries.
Yeah.
Taj Brooks had 6. Why?
I like I said, on fourth and short what Kid likes. If it's
Yeah,
third and short, fourth and short, and we talked about that, it creates an extra blocker. And that's what he likes to do. How much does Shut weigh?
probably like 235 to
235.
230.
So
I'd probably say that.
you're getting an extra blocker, and you're getting a dude that's 235 that likes to run the ball. So he used him on short yardage most of the time. Like down the end zone, we ran that little counter with a running back led, and he scored. Like that's
I
that's
was
what
off
we
by 5. Sorry, 230.
230. But I mean, that's just Kid Lee's. That's his short game package. Yes, I know people want to be like, man, we got Taj Brooks. I get that, but that's the man's package of what he likes to do to add an extra blocker in there. And like I said, that's why he has. If it's 23 runs, I bet you there's one or two that's not uh third and short, third and three and below. I guarantee if we go back and watch, they're all third and three, third and two, third and one, or second and three. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a part of the package of what he's trying to do. He likes that extra blocker in there with Brooks being a good size guy, and he had a tight end pull one time, he had a guard pull one time, as well as a running back lead. So I think that's his short game package. He feels more comfortable with having that guy going. He trusts him, and you never know too if Show is calling those plays, if he's
Shuck, yeah.
changing it. Like that's we don't know how many of those that Kit called, and he changed it. I'm sure he has freedom. He's a senior, played in the Power Five before, was here last year. I'm sure he has some freedom. So. I had to sit down and see how many times he changed the play and how many times he called his own number versus what Kit called. And I think they have that great relationship like that. But like I said, I think it's a third and short type deal. It'd be different if it was first and 10 and we were out there doing that. But majority of the time, we're red zone, we're running with that cat, or third and short.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't mind Tyler Shuck running the football. I just don't like the fact that you gave, in my opinion, your second best playmaker only 10 touches. I just don't like that. Personally, I do want to leave on a good note, though.
Yeah.
From this standpoint, and I have this written down. I'm going to read it verbatim. These two games were lost because of Texas Tech, right? Like, simple and plain, they beat themselves. You think about Wyoming, Texas Tech and their defense had 3 penalties that led to 10 plus points for Wyoming, right? They
Mm-hmm.
don't go to overtime if those penalties don't happen, right? Let alone
Right.
the one interception that got called back because of illegal use to the hands to the face
That's
by
crazy.
Joseph Adedore, right? And I get it. I know that's a corny ass thing to say. By the way, Lyle, somebody got mad in the comments about our podcast because I use foul language. Get used to
Wow.
it. I don't really care. I
Yeah.
don't really care.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah.
But go look at the numbers and they'll agree that Texas Tech probably, if they play up to their standard talent-wise and don't make self-inflicted mistakes, right? They're 2-0, right? You think about the Oregon side of this. Texas Tech was in this game with a minus turnover differential for 58 minutes, right? That's hard to say. So that's why I think the defense played great too, in the sense that when we look at the stats at the end of the year, Oregon will be one of the best running teams in the country.
Right.
You held them and their running backs to less than 70 total yards, right? You did a phenomenal job with that. And people are commenting, oh, I thought Steve Linton was supposed to get all these sacks. I thought that Miles Cole was supposed to get all these sacks. You could tell that the game plan was not to rush the passer. It was to negate the run and make the Oregon offense one-dimensional and trust your secondary. You could tell. You could tell right away. I was like, oh, Steve Linton's not even really rushing the quarterback right now. He's just really trying to establish the edge so everything is in between the A, B, or C gap when it comes to the running game, and you have to eliminate the outside, running lanes that they create with that good offensive line. So I think really what I'm saying is this, like a lot of things, and don't get it twisted, Tech is 0-2. That's not good. A lot of the things that they've done this year are not good. But there's people out there also saying that this football team isn't good. I don't think that that's not – I don't think that's right. I think that they have to figure some things out. But if these questionable decisions get corrected, and again, that's a big question mark, I think, right? But if they do, I think that Texas Tech is in a good spot. And there's a lot of people in the comments saying, oh, well, they're not going to win the Big 12. I don't know if y'all know this, but the first 2 games of the season don't mean jack shit when it comes to winning the Big 12. It means nothing. It means jack shit, right? Would it have been cool if they won the games? Yeah, I think we all would have agreed with that. That would be really cool to win against Wyoming, win against Oregon. But guess what? It means zero, nada, zilch, whatever way you want to say zero in another language when it comes to playing in Arlington. Right. And so does Texas Tech have the capability to do that? I think so. I will say this, though. If they continue to make just absolutely mind-blowingly bad decisions, they have no shot. The talent is there. I do wish there was a little bit more star power on this roster because I don't think they have a star on this team. Like, I can't point at this team and be like, that guy's a star. I'm not trying to throw shade at Jalen Hutchins and Tony Bradford. I think they are really good college players, but I don't think they're necessarily star-level guys like a Bo Nix or anything like that, right? Really good players that you need on your team to win, but Texas Tech just doesn't have a star, right? And I think, again, roundabout way, going back to the quarterback position, could you argue Baron Morton's a star? That's what I think you could argue. Does he have more star potential? And does he elevate Tech's ceiling? I've always said it, Lyle, and a lot of people have gotten mad at me. I think Tyler Shuck elevates Texas Tech's floor. I think Baron Morton elevates Texas Tech's ceiling. But with Baron Morton in the game, I think your floor goes down a notch or two because he's going to make a decision on a throw where you're just like, what the hell was that? Right? Like, it's going to happen. But he's also going to make a throw where you're like, what the hell was that? Right? Like, it goes both ways. So I think it's really how you view it, right? To me, I don't think Texas Tech has a ton of star power, but I think that they have a really big group of guys that are high quality football players at the college level. It really comes down to this at the quarterback position. You want that high floor or do you want the higher ceiling? Which one do you want? And I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer, right? Like, I really don't. I think it's a personal preference thing. I'll stand by what I said earlier, though. I know Lyle disagreed with me as he laid out his point. I think there's no way in hell, if you make the decision to start Baron Morton, that you can go back to Tyler Shuck, barring injury. I just don't think you can do it. For the sheer fact of this, you just can't keep going back and forth. You can't do it. I think because the offense is going to be so drastically different. You can't run 23 times a game with Baron Morton. You can't do that, right? Like, you have to pick which kind of offense you're going. And I think really that's why maybe this quarterback decision, if things keep going the way that they're going and all this fire starts to build and the smoke and everything around it. I think that's why it may take a week or two longer than people expected, because you drastically have to change your offense. If you're Zach Kittley, from the standpoint of, I can't run as many QB draws, I can't run as many QB powers and stuff with Baron Morton. You open things more up in terms of the passing game, but the running game changes drastically, and that takes time.
Yeah, so understand when B Mort comes in, we're gonna go from 10 runs to about 0 runs. So I just want everybody to understand too, because that's what he does. And like I said, when you throw the ball that much, you're gonna have mistakes and just people gotta understand that. So like I said, I think I think he changes, he brings a different dynamic, but I like you also said, I think you lose a big dynamic. And if you ask any DC in America, any quarterback that can run is harder than a quarterback that could throw. Um,
Yeah.
I guarantee you that. So it's just one of those aspects of, Kitley would have to figure it out, which I think he will. And honestly, like I said, I think he does a good job. Is there things he could do better? Probably so. But I think he does a good job for, like I said, playing the number 13 team in the country, putting up points. And like I said, two of those when shut through the interception. You already talked about it. And also when he held the ball and fumbled the ball. So, I mean, that's two mistakes that, is not on Kitley. And so I think those are the parts that we forget too. You take away those two possessions, those are big plays. Not to say we win the game, not to say Ty lost it for us because he didn't, but those are two huge momentum killers. We're going down to take the lead, and that happens. So I think we got to hold everybody accountable, players and coaches as well. But I mean, it's one of those things. A couple decisions here and there on players' parts. So throw the ball away, like you said. It was open, run, get 5 yard slide. It may change the game. So I think, like I said, I think we're in the right area, the right place to be going. And like I said, we lost 2 games at the last minute, you know, and it's not like we're getting blown out. Lost one in overtime, then we lost another one
It's all self-inflicted,
at the
man.
end.
It's
Yeah,
all self-inflicted.
and that's what I'm saying, man. It's just, as players got to be able to take care of the ball, got to be able to do stuff. Players got to play too. At the end of the day, we talked about this as a guessing game between offense and defense. You think they know what they're going to do. They think they know what you're going to do, but no one knows. So it comes down to kids making plays, kids executing. And I think they put them in a position to be successful both weeks. We just hadn't finished
Yeah.
the job. So, like I said, in the past, man, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't be mad about losing by 7, or losing by 10 or
Yeah.
whatever we lose. We
Yeah.
losing by a lot more. So I think we're on the right path, man. Man, second year, Coach McGuire has done a lot. Even the atmosphere was awesome. So
It was
we
crazy, man.
we got to get
That like legitimately loud, and sorry to interrupt. That was the best atmosphere I've seen at the Jones since probably the Baker Mayfield game.
right. And that's what I'm
It
saying,
was
man. That's
wild, man. It was electric.
it's credit to him. So we got to ride with him, let him get his program together. And like I said, it's my third year here at Level Land, and we're still working on stuff. So I know how long it takes. Granted, I don't get to recruit, but it's still changing the culture and stuff, man. That's a everyday thing. That's not just to show up. Hey, y'all listen to me. Let's do it like that. You gotta weed out. You got to do a lot of things, man, to get that culture how you want it. And I think he's done a great job so far.
We'll end on this. Just give me a simple one word. Should there be a QB1 debate for you, Lyle?
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like the way you said it is exactly how I feel too. Like, yeah, but like, about it. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's more. I'll say this, and I know I gave you one word, which is obviously not fair for me to have like 18 run-on sentences here, but whatever. I think it's one of those things where I don't think Tyler Shuck is the main issue, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And I,
Like, has he had plays that create issues for Texas Tech? Yes. He'll be the first one to admit that to you. But I don't think he is the biggest issue that Texas Tech has,
right.
if that makes sense.
And if they do a quarterback change, it shouldn't be this week. They
I
they gotta
agree.
wait.
I think you have to do it against Houston
Yeah,
at home. You
I agree.
can't throw Baron Morton out there. I believe it's West Virginia week 1 of conference play. I think it's going to be one of those things where if it happens in game number 5 of the year against Houston.
Right.
And That would be a fun matchup. Donovan Smith against Baron Morton. That'd be a fun one.
If they don't get it together, we might not be playing Don, brother. They lost to
Oh
Rice.
yeah,
We might not be
the Rice
seeing.
game. That's funny. Shout out to JT. He finally
Yeah.
came back. But let us know down in the comments, should there be a QB1 debate? Just a simple Y for yes or N for no. And then before we head out of here, what's Texas Tech got to change most before Big 12 play starts? What do you want to see improved, albeit against Tarleton here next week? Lyle, where can the people find you on Twitter, my guy?
Hey, y'all can find me at Coach LLEONG, and you can find the Go to the Podcast at
RCMB323. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't already, like the video and hit that subscribe button to stay in the know on Texas Tech football all year long, right here on the most engaging Texas Tech podcast on YouTube. Of course, I'm talking about the Back to 12 podcast channel.